afternoon, everybody. Welcome here to Verified Investing Studios. My name is Gareth Soloway to guide you through the action today in the markets and look at what the heck is going on into these election results. Whether we have them tonight or not, who knows? But ultimately, the markets will be whipping back and forth. I promise you that. In fact, we've already seen it on stocks like DJT, which was up huge early in the day, then collapsed about 25%, then rallied back up. The action is starting, and it's going to continue for the next few days, inclusive of the Federal Reserve on Thursday, their economic or their Fed rate decision. All right, so let's go over here and take a look at where the markets are. We are seeing a rally today, so after multiple week sessions, we're now seeing the Dow bounce back about 393 points on the day. The NASDAQ, that's a big gain, 250 points or 1.4%, and the S&P up about 65 points or about 1.15%. Now, what's the key here? Well, you know, it's hard to know, but markets, again, are probably seeing a little short covering. A lot of shorts were out there. Maybe he's taking a little bit of those off the table now going into this, because if we do get a very clear winner, I do think the market breathes a sigh of relief, right? And again, that might be a possibility. It's always a possibility out there. Now, oil today fractionally higher, up about 50 cents. Gold up about $5. Both of those essentially unchanged for their respective commodities. And Bitcoin, which was at 70,500, did dump out to about 68,000 and is now bounced back to 69.5. And again, same thing. We're seeing Bitcoin move up and down based on what the latest headline is from the media, whether this candidate's in the lead slightly or this one, and you're seeing the whipsaw just take over. Now, looking at the charts, and the beauty of this, folks, is that, remember, I'm a chartist, I'm a technician. So to me, all this is noise. It's all noise. Ultimately, the chart should guide me with probabilities in my favor. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right, but at least probabilities are in my favor. So what we know here is that this remains major technical support. So if we dump out tomorrow or the next day, this is the level to watch. And then if we were to rally back up and you extend these lines out here, this would be your upside range. And again, we know our upside maximum is around 6,000 to 6,100 on the S&P, and our downside support is around 5,665. So those are your two levels to watch on either side of the market. And again, the key is watching those levels. I would probably short into 6,000, 6,100. Here, I don't know if I'd be a buyer because we're kind of consolidating here a little bit, which could be that scary bear flag scenario. But ultimately, let's let the charts tell us what the heck is going to happen or the highest probability. All right. Let's go over a couple key movers today. Palantir, beautiful move. I had a level just above a Pierce of 50. I actually day traded it today with members in the Apex Live day trading room. We made a nice score on it, a great little gain there. I know Ben, my other head trader, he also day traded it afterwards with them, and they made a score as well. But ultimately, it is trading just above that $50 level at 51. There should be major resistance up here on Palantir, even though they had fantastic earnings. Now, let's talk about DJT here. DJT, this is what I was talking about, guys. The stock was trading this morning as high as almost $41 sideways, and then rolled over, and basically in 30, these are 10-minute candles, so basically in 30 minutes went from 40 down to 31, and then has snapped back to kind of chop sideways around 34. If we look at the daily chart, you can just see the volatility. When Trump was looking like he was in the lead, this was rallying up, up, up and away. Then it looked like Harris was in the lead. Then it came back. Trump is kind of taking, and again, I strongly encourage us all to remember this is all whipsaw. And most traders will lose money trying to trade these ups and downs. All right, only the best maybe, and I'm not even at that level, right? I let the charts tell me where to trade, not me telling and saying, oh, I got to be in a trade, right? And that's the kicker too, is that so many traders are junkies, right? They're adrenaline junkies. They want the feeling of that adrenaline going through their system when they get in a trade, and it causes them to get in trades when there aren't any trades or when the probabilities are not in their favor. And that's the kicker. Once you learn to relax and you always remind yourself there's going to be another trade, there'll be a better setup, that's when you can actually become a profitable trader. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. SMCI reports after the bell, guys. This is right near this technical support level down here. Look at this level over here. They report earnings after the bell. The question is, do you even trust these earnings, right? I mean, the company obviously is under a ton of scrutiny. Their accounting firm quit, and it just comes down to these situations where, yeah, they'll report earnings, but it's more important, honestly, that they found a new accountant. And again, is it going to go up? It is oversold. It's kissing support. But again, this is a wild card. Basically, the way I'm looking at it is if it dumps sharply on earnings down to 23.50, I might nibble with a tiny, tiny position because it's high risk. But aside from that, I'm staying away at this time. If I had to pick a direction, I'd say up because, again, it's been crushed 50% in the last week. But at the same time, again, it's not something that, for me at least, and I can just speak from my own personal trading perspective, is this isn't something you put a lot of money into. I would do a tiny little bit, just kind of a toe in the water type situation. Microchip, MCHP is a chip stock. They report after the bell here, folks. If we go to the daily chart, this kind of has been hammered down a little bit. So I don't really have a good bias on this. You know, there's support down here around 60, let's see, around 67 will be support. But notice how it's kind of in between the highs and the lows, and that doesn't give us a major bias one way or the other. So we'll see what this is. This isn't, by the way, a huge chip stock. It looks like initially it might be trading down now. There's initially some after-hours activity here, but we'll watch and see. Really, SMCI is the big one in the after hours. Tomorrow morning, we do have some earnings coming out as well, so I'll guide you guys in the game plan tomorrow morning. Now, let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin today, same thing, was rallying sharply higher, then took a dump when DJT stock fell off a cliff, and now we've seen it bounce back just a little. It's almost identical to the DJT stock, which is really interesting to think about. It shows you how much the Bitcoin investors are really playing the odds of a Trump win, right? I mean, when it's trading neck and neck with DJT stock, it tells you everything you need to know about what investors want in Bitcoin. Okay, going back to the chart, nice pop today, a little bit of a bounce back. Resistance remains at 74. My buy level will be around 64. If it dumps out there in the overnight, I'll keep you guys posted. Gold and silver, almost no movement today. That tells you that, again, at least the gold market is waiting to see either what the Fed is doing, more importantly for the gold trade versus the elections, and that's probably true. It's probably more about the Fed that's more important here, and same thing for silver. If we bring up the silver chart, barely any movement, still stuck on this key level. I mentioned oil was up just a little bit today. Oil again grinding higher. No trades here. A lot of sideways chop recently. You got to let the chart go into a level before we take a trade there. And same thing for natural gas, pulling back from yesterday's big rally up, right back down. Again, this is all chop that smaller retail investors would get chopped out of, money taken from them by the algos, by the bots. We have to remain, if you're watching this, trading the close or my game plans, it's all about charts which equal probabilities, right? And again, we're in a period right now where there's emotions are high. The election here in the U.S., the Federal Reserve, inflation, all of these things, the debt. But in reality, those are distractions that if you're going to be a successful investor and trader, you need to ignore them. You have to go to the charts, and the charts will guide you to that probability. I know it's hard, especially with social media and the mainstream media and all these different things going on, but the best traders in the world don't care about that stuff. They focus on the charts. Remember that, folks. All right, I'm going to get going. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care.